Hi, it's Jack, and this is the podcast version of this episode. If you want to read the words as they're being analysed, then if you're on Spotify, you can become a subscriber of this channel or head over to the YouTube channel. And on both platforms, you can also sign up to get exclusive episodes and early access to the regular weekly episodes too. This jail call between Stephan Sterns and his parents sounds like a cosy family chat. But who are they really talking to?
This link to this YouTube video had tracked all your internet activity and all the sites that you had joined.
Dark web.
The dark web, whatever, but some of the offbeat websites. So I'm sure you know what I'm referring to without me having to name them.
Okay. In the call, Stephan's parents respond to a rumour that they'd paid off his friends to stop them from going to the police and saying what Stephan was up to. But when we analyse the language, what they emphasise, what they skip, and who they seem to be addressing, it points to something else entirely. Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And what I do here is different from anywhere else because I'm only going to look at the words used. I strip away everything else and just look at what is said. And then I use my process of statement investigation to give you the key to seeing where deception could be happening, where the truth lies, and the motivations of the person as well. It's a process that I use with investigators, with the media and corporate clients to get a bigger, deeper understanding of what is being said. So we're looking at Stephan Sterns once more. Stephan is now serving 21 life sentences for crimes against Madeline Soto, including her murder. Now, I think that Stephan is one of the people that has let Madeline down massively, but so have other adults in her life. I'm not trying to take away any blame from what Stephan did at all, but I think that Madeline's life could be different if some adults around her and around Stephan had stepped up. So here, I'm going to look at Stephan's parents. This is a jail call. Stephan is being arrested for the murder. He's in jail and his parents are talking to him. And I'm going to break down what they say to see if we can find out a little bit more about what went on around Stephan Sterns. Now, all sorts of deception, all sorts of clues are going to come up here, but I want you to look at the audience, because when we talk and when we write, sometimes we have two audiences. There's the stated audience, which is the audience we say we're talking to. Here, the stated audience would appear to be Stephan. The parents are talking to Stephan. But then there's an intended audience, which is the secondary audience, the audience that's in the mind of the person talking. So maybe sometimes that isn't the stated audience. Have you ever walked past a parent with an unruly child and they tell that child off and you realise they're talking to you, wanting you to hear what they're saying as much as what the child is saying, as if to say, don't judge me as a parent, I've got this under control, I am telling off my child. Well, that's the intended audience, even though the stated audience is the child. Are we seeing something similar in this call where the intended audience is Stephan, it's the family chat? Sorry, the stated audience is Stephan, it's the family chat, but the intended audience could be something different. Let's have a listen to part one of this jail call.
Any other news or updates on your end?
No. Everything's still status quo. Somebody sent us a link to a YouTube video that, these amateur sleuths just are relentless. They just go down any and every path they can go, and so this link to this YouTube video had tracked all your internet activity and all the sites that you had joined.
Dark web.
The dark web, whatever, but some of the offbeat websites. So I'm sure you know what I'm referring to without me having to name them.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you that all that should exist out there.
Right, so here we have Stephan's dad talking. We can hear the mum a little bit and Stephan himself as well. I'm going to really focus on the parents because they do most of the talking inside this part of the call we're going to look at. I have heard lots of things saying that mom was a very large figure in Stephan's life. Dad had a slightly different relationship with him, but it's dad that does most of the talking in this call. So let's look and see what is being said. Stephan starts this section by saying, any other news or updates on your end? And dad says, no, everything's still status quo. Now, That's very direct. Any other news and updates on your end? He says no straight away, as if there is no news, no updates on their end. Everything's still status quo. It's very believable. There is no news and updates, in the word of the dad, at their end. And then he goes on to talk about YouTube. Now, what's going on here? It seems a bit contradictory, because he does seem to say, no news, but there is news about these YouTube videos, and I'm going to tell you all about them. Well, is it that there is no news and updates on their end, but he's gone extra and talked about this YouTube video that's been seen? Why? Well, because he wants to talk about them. He wants to get this out there somehow. Intended audience, is it Stephan or is it us? Potential eavesdroppers, law enforcement, potential eavesdroppers. Draw your own conclusions as we listen to it, but let's look at what he says. Somebody sent us a link to a YouTube video that, these amateur sleuths just are relentless. I mean, they just go down any and every path they can go. Somebody sent us a link to a YouTube video. So he's talking in a slightly distant sense here, because he's not saying somebody sent us a YouTube video, or even there is a YouTube video we have seen, or anything like that. Somebody sent us a link to a YouTube video. So this means that, I don't know, is he telling us the process that he went through? This link came in. What else was with the link? Who's this somebody? Was it, guys, you got to watch this, you're in big trouble? Or, you need to see this because it's got some shocking allegations in it, or whatever. But his focus is on the somebody. That's the first thing he mentions. The link is the second thing he mentions. And then the YouTube video is later on. He's got something going on because he mentions link a lot. Somebody sent us a link to a YouTube video. So the biggest thing for him is that somebody sent this link, not the fact the YouTube video exists. And then he withdraws from just this one YouTube video and talks a bit more in general about these amateur sleuths. Now let's look at his word choice there. These amateur sleuths are just relentless. Now, he talks about sleuths. What's a sleuth? It's someone who tries to find out information. It's a detective, an amateur detective. But what's a sleuth? Someone who finds out information. Could have framed these videos as a load of baloney. People will make up all sorts of stuff in these videos. These liars are saying this about you, or you will not believe the tripe that people are talking about. But no, he talks about them as amateur sleuths, people who find out information. Amateur does take it down in severity a little bit, I think, but they're sleuths. They're not, in his mind, his first framing of them, liars. They're sleuths. They're just relentless. I mean, they go down any and every path they can go. Again, he's not saying they're making these things up. He's actually saying they're investigating and they're going down any and every path they can go. So the framing here is not there's so many lies going on about you, or people are having just, open day or making up anything they want about you. He seems to be talking about the fact that they're uncovering things that exist, not that they're making things up. He carries on. And so this link to this YouTube video had tracked all your internet activity and the sites you had joined. Now, what have we got here? We've got, once more, focus on the link to the YouTube video. It's not this YouTube video had tracked all your internet activity, or a person had tracked all your internet activity. It's this link to this YouTube video had tracked all your internet activity and all the sites you had joined. Also, Dad here is accepting that these things are true, that it's not supposed internet activity, it's not lying or making up or speculating on the sites that you had joined. He's very direct about it. He is saying these are facts, in his opinion, all your internet activity and the sites you had joined. So he's not doubting the veracity of the information in this YouTube video. He's not putting any alleged or supposed around it. He's being very direct in saying, this is your internet activity. This is the sites that you had joined. Let me hear Mom for the first time say the dark web. And then Dad says, the dark web, whatever. Sounds quite dismissive here. It's not important to him where this information has come from. It's the information itself that is important. So this is, Mom going, the dark web, trying to inject something in there that she thinks is important. And he says, whatever. He doesn't really care about what is going on here. It's the information itself that is important to him. But some of the offbeat websites, I'm sure you know what I'm referring to without me having to name them. So here we have The father and son talking. Obviously, they're aware that law enforcement could listen into this call. It's being recorded and so on. So he doesn't want to come out and name the sites. But what he doesn't say is something along the lines of, I won't name the sites they are saying that you went to. He knows that Stephan was on these sites. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to without me having to name them. He's really indicating that he believes what is in this video, that the veracity of the information here is true. There's no doubt in his mind. There's no qualification in his words. It's very direct. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to without me having to name them. That seems to catch Stephan off guard because he does a very long okay. And then Dad says, so I'm just telling you that all that should exist out there. We've got a repetition of one of my red flag for deception words. Just. I'm just telling you that all that should exist out there. So remember I said, well, there's no news at this end. And then he goes on to tell the story about these YouTube videos. And at the very end of telling about what these videos are and say, he says, I'm just telling you that all that should exist out there. Just telling you, which just is very often deceptive. So I think there's a lot more going on than just telling you they should exist there. Almost as if I'm just telling you there's another reason why he is telling you this. I think that reason becomes apparent as we listen to more of the call. I don't believe he's just telling Stephan. It's just a little tip off about what people are saying for you on YouTube. So in that first part of the call, no doubt in Dad's mind that the video information is correct. Also, he's focused more on the link than the video. Whoever sent him it or whatever the message was where that link was sent is very important to Dad because he focuses more on the link than the actual YouTube video itself. Let's carry on with this call.
I sped through this 2-hour YouTube video, and your former roommates at the townhome that you rented have ratted you out in ways and fabricated stories about a shared network drive and video that had been recorded, and supposedly approached your mother about them, threatening to disclose you in these videos, and that we paid them off, which was total bullshit. We've never heard about this until these videos and these asshole friends of yours have managed to get themselves on these YouTube channels and disclose all sorts of shit. Because I can tell you this, if any one of them, and we know who we're talking about, had come to us with that, we would have told them, feel free to do whatever you want. We're not paying you jack shit. If somebody had done something, I suggest you pursue it with them or the authorities, but don't bring this up to our attention ever again. I can assure you that we would not have paid off anybody. It wouldn't have been our problem, and we wouldn't have paid for it, period.
Strange passages there from Dad. He starts off by saying, and you'll notice he's very stuttery all the way through this, and he is all the way through the call. Now, that suggests to me that he is choosing his words very carefully here. It could be his natural way of talking. He could be very nervous, but he does stutter a lot all the way through this. I sped through this 2-hour YouTube video, and your former roommates at the townhome that you rented have ratted you out in ways and fabricated stories about a shared network drive and a video that had been recorded. Let's look at what he says there. I sped through this 2-hour YouTube video, and your former roommates at the townhome that you rented. I don't know why he's mentioned that you rented. I don't. It's a very strange way to talk about a home. Where it was, who he shared it with, that house on such and such a drive or in such and such an area. But it's the townhome that you rented. I don't know why he's put that in there to describe where it is. Anyway, these former roommates have ratted you out in ways. What's ratting out? Ratting out is not making up something. Ratting out is when you tell the truth. It's when you say bad information about someone to someone who is in a position to do something about the things that you say. Ratting out is not lying. Lying is lying, or, talking total BS is lying, but it's ratted you out. He doesn't think much of them because ratted out has some judgment in it, but it's ratted you out in ways and fabricated stories. So there's two things being said by him here. Ratted you out is telling the truth, is saying what happened he doesn't believe it's in a good way, but it is saying what happened to someone, and fabricated stories. So in his words there is some truth and there are some fabricated stories. Fabricated stories are about a shared network drive and a video that had been recorded. Notice that there is no people associated with this. It's not his shared network drive or Stephan's shared network drive or someone else's shared network drive. He's distancing here. He's talking about it slightly remotely. Same with the video. Video that had been recorded, not video you had recorded or video someone else had recorded. It's just video that had been recorded and supposedly approached your mother about them, threatening to disclose that you and these videos that we paid them off, which was total bullshit. Now, supposedly approached your mother. And so there's some doubt in his mind there about it, or is it that he's saying this is all supposed and approached your mother? He's taken himself out of it there. He's not saying approached us. They're not operating together in this one, or they weren't operating together in these allegations. It's approached your mother about them, which will become interesting as we look at some of his further words. Approached your mother about them, threatening to disclose you and these videos and that we paid them off, which was total bullshit. Past tense, was total bullshit. He's not saying it's bullshit now as he's talking. He's saying it was. Has it changed in some way? Was it bullshit once and is not bullshit anymore? Is that why you're using the past tense rather than the present tense to say it is total bullshit? I'm also just interested in this whole section. What was fabricated? Fabricated stories about a shared network drive and a video that had been recorded and supposedly approached your mother, threatening to disclose you and these videos, and we paid them off, which was total bullshit. There's lots of concepts that come after fabricated. Fabricated stories about a shared network drive, maybe. Fabricated stories about a video. Fabricated stories about approaching your mother. Well, that's the only thing that's got supposedly on it. Fabricated stories about threatening to disclose. Fabricating stories about paying them off. What was fabricated? He's not very clear there on what was fabricated. He then goes on to say, we've never heard about this until these videos, and these asshole friends of yours have managed to get themselves on these YouTube channels and disclose all sorts of shit, because I can tell you this, if any one of them, and we know who we're talking about, had come to us with that, we would have told them, feel free to do whatever you want. Now, this is where I want to talk about audience. Whose benefit is this for? Because if it's for Stephan's benefit, he could just have said, saying that we paid them off, which we didn't. However, he gives a very detailed description about not knowing anything about the allegations in this video, about the allegations that were made, and also saying, we don't know anything about this. We would not have done anything about this if this was true. It's very, very complex for a way of saying, they're saying we paid them off and we didn't. Breaking down some of the words. We've never heard about this. So never, another red flag for deception word. As I always say, just because someone says never, it doesn't indicate they're lying or deceiving you, but it's a very strange word used in all sorts of deceptive ways. So when you see it, just dig around and go, am I hearing the truth here? Well, am I hearing the truth here? We've never heard about this until these videos. So never heard about this. So it's minimizing and distancing there by just saying, we never heard about this. Not, we've never heard about this. It didn't happen. It's not about hearing about it. It's never, this didn't happen. Never heard about this until these videos. Interesting switch, because he was talking about one video at the beginning. He said someone sent us a link to this video, but now it's gone plural. There are these videos out there. And these asshole friends of yours have managed to get themselves on these YouTube channels. Plural again. So this has gone from this story about somebody sent us a link to one video to these videos and these YouTube channels and disclose all sorts of shit. Disclose. Once again, disclose is revealing the truth. It's not and say all sorts of stuff that's not true. It's disclose things. So they are disclosing something. He believes, again, in his words, that there is some veracity to what is being said. Because I can tell you this, if any one of them, and we know who we're talking about, had come to us with that, we would have told them, feel free to do whatever you want. We know who we're talking about. So, interesting concept here. Things that didn't happen are being alleged, but he knows who didn't do the things that didn't happen. How does that work? I mean, obviously, we know maybe who's making these allegations on these YouTube videos, but we know who we're talking about. And it's whose benefit is this for? Is it for Stephan's benefit, or is this for someone else that might be listening's benefit? Because it seems like a very detailed, complex rebuttal of what was there. It's not only did this not happen, but it's that if it did happen, our reaction would not have been this. But we know who we're talking about here. Very, very interesting way of talking about it. We're not paying you jack shit. So this is in present tense, but I think he's quoting what he would have said at the time if someone had approached him. If somebody had done something, I suggest pursue it with them or the authorities. So we're not paying you jack shit. If somebody had done something, well, the allegations are Stephan did very specific things, including taking videos of people that he shouldn't have. If somebody had done something, so downplaying the person that's involved, which is your son, and what they did, which is pretty horrible things in the allegations. I suggest you pursue it with them or the authorities, but don't bring this up to our attention ever again. Ever again. Just sounds like this is something that happened. I can assure you that we would not have paid off anybody. He's assuring Stephan. Stephan's in jail. This really is not really that important to him. I can assure you that we would not have paid off anybody. Now, I can assure you, why does he feel the need to assure him? Maybe he feels the need to ensure the secondary audience, the intended audience, law enforcement, if they're listening to these jail calls. Fair assumption. I can assure you that we would not have paid off anybody. Now, that's we. But listen, it was Mom that was approached. So it's gone from approaching Mom to him being a decision maker here. Interesting. It wouldn't have been our problem, and we wouldn't have paid for it, period, is how he finishes there. So here, in this section here, it all feels very formal, very well thought out. It's not a casual conversation of, yeah, people are alleging that we paid them off because they were going to go to the police about you, but we didn't. It's very formal. It's very well thought out. There's lots of hypotheticals put there in place to like fully rebut everything in the video, rather than just, there's these videos going on saying that we did things. You'll notice as well, they're not telling Stephan really what the video said about him as much as what the videos say about them. They are the priority there. The vibe is very much, here's something on a video you didn't know about, saying something that didn't happen, and even if it did happen, it wouldn't happen. Very long, convoluted way of saying this video is saying a whole load of horse shit out there. Stephan Sterns is someone I've done a lot of digging into recently, and there's a lot of appetite for him and the people around this Madeline Soto. Okay, so listen, once more, if this gives me all the signs that we should do more Stephan Stern content, then I will do more. And let me know if there's anything that Stephan has said or someone else has said around this case that you'd like me to dig into. Again, if this video is getting enough views, if it gets enough likes and the comments are there saying, yeah, please give us more, it's a signal to me to make some more Stephan Sterns content. So don't be shy. Do let me know. Do share with others as well if there's something they'd like to hear. Then perhaps we can look at something else on this case in the future. Let's go back to the jail call between Stephan Sterns and his parents.
So my former roommates are trying to blackmail you into paying them off?
No. They're claiming that they had supposedly come to us and blackmailed us, and that we paid them money, which they've described it in two events, one at a restaurant, and then your mother supposedly showing up at the townhome with a manila envelope. And you and I know, and we all know, that is bullshit.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, didn't exist, never did it.
It never happened.
And if they had done that, I would have said, go ahead and do whatever you want. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem, so don't even come to me with it, period.
Are they aware that blackmail and coercion is also illegal?
Well, it's kind of a moot point when you're looking at the number of years ago this was. And right now, it's their word, it's hearsay, but I'm just telling you what these amateur sleuths are repeating. Matter of fact, they even said that we owned the townhome, which we didn't.
We've been living in $1 million homes, and you were a spoiled, rotten kid because of it. And I'm thinking, we've never been in $1 million home.
Good to hear from Mom again there. Stephan starts this section here saying, so my former roommates are trying to blackmail you into paying them off. I don't know how much attention he's been paying to the story, because that's not what Dad was saying at all. Dad was saying there's allegations that we paid them off a long time ago. Dad puts it right. No. They're claiming that they had supposedly come to us and blackmailed us and that we paid them money, which they've described in 2 events. They're claiming and they had supposedly come to us. So he is putting some doubt here into the words that he's using. They're saying this happened. They're supposedly this happened. And Stephan hopefully is starting to get the picture now from this answer. They're claiming they had supposedly come to us and blackmailed us and that we paid them money. Let me go on, which is they've described it in 2 events. One is at a restaurant, and then your mother supposedly showed up at the townhome with a manila envelope. Very detailed rebuttal once more. It's just, they're saying we paid them off and we didn't. He's going into a hell of a lot of detail. It's really stuck in his mind, these allegations, for some reason. And these are the 2 events, and you'll hear that it was one at a restaurant and your mother supposedly showing up at a townhome. So Mom... Remember, it was like they approached your mom twice, and then Mom appears to have been approached once and maybe turned up with some money another time in the allegations. And you and I know, and we all know, that this is bullshit. This is controlling, convincing language. You and I know, and we all know, that is bullshit. He's ordering people of what they should think. He's telling people what they should think here. An indication of controlling language and also convincing language. Well, whose benefit is that for again? Is it for the benefit of Stephan? You know this is all bullshit, or is this for the benefit of who could be listening to this call? Look, we all know this is bullshit. Stephan says, yeah. Then Dad says, didn't happen. It didn't exist. Never did it. Interesting rebuttal. Didn't happen. It didn't exist. Exist? That's a thing. That's a situation. It didn't exist, as an interesting choice of words, and never did it. Well, we've got that word never again, but also there's a pronoun missing there. Who never did what? It's not very forthcoming. It's not very clear, and there's a person missing from that statement. Never did it. Stephan says it never happened. How does he know it never happened? And if they had done that, I would have said, go ahead and do whatever you want. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem. Again, he seems to be focused more on what he wouldn't have done. What he would have done, but didn't happen. It's a very interesting way of this guy of looking at it. He's not just saying it didn't happen. He's saying, again, whoa, if it did happen, this would have been my response. It's very detailed. And you'll see there's no anger from him at all there about what these people are saying. What he's doing is explaining out some logic and some reasoning in his words as to why these things didn't happen. And you'll notice he's talking about himself. We've got some real confusion here about these people approached your mother. We wouldn't have paid a penny, and now he's talking about himself. I would have said, go ahead and do whatever you want. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem. He's talking for himself, but the allegations seem to be around the mother. Could this all be true? And Stephan's dad would have said, do whatever you want. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem. But the mother paid the money. Because the allegations are they approached the mother, and the allegations, as mentioned in this call, are that the mother went round to the townhouse with the envelope full of money. Is there some split between Mom and Dad here? Because he's saying, I would have said this, you're not getting a penny from me, it's not my problem, so don't even come to me here with a period. Then I think we have line of the entire call. Stephan is in jail, charged with abuse, horrible offences, and the murder of a 13-year-old girl. And Stephan says, are they aware that blackmail and coercion is also illegal? Thank you, future 21 life sentences person, for talking out that people shouldn't be doing illegal things. Strange moral compass you've got there, Stephan. Dad says, well, it's kind of a moot point when you're looking at the number of years ago. This was, and right now it's their word, it's hearsay, but I'm just telling you what these amateur sleuths are repeating. And in fact, they even said that we owned the townhome, which we didn't. This has got him panicked. Look at the distance between what's put to him and how he finishes up. Are they aware that this is illegal, says Stephan. Dad says, that's a tough one, and then goes on to move away to saying these, I'm just making you aware of what they're saying. I don't want any advice from you here because the whole sole purpose of me was getting these allegations to you. Don't need your advice. I don't need to be told what to do. And then I'm going to say some other things about the allegations here to take it away from the fact that, yeah, if people were saying untrue things about you, you could sue them. And for some reason, he doesn't want to go there. He wants to run from that thought. He wants to run there and talk about some allegations that they owned the townhome. You're looking at the number of years ago this was. So he, again, now I don't know what was in the YouTube link that had all these allegations or all the videos that suddenly appeared that he didn't really mention. But he seems to know when it happened. You're looking at the number of years ago this was. So for this allegation that didn't happen, he knows who was involved in the allegations from what he said earlier. He also knows when it happened. So for something that didn't happen, he's super clued up on when it didn't happen. You're looking at the number of years ago this was, and right now, it's their word. It's hearsay. Right now? Well, does that suggest to you that it's going to change? Right now, it's their word. It's hearsay. Well, why would you say that if it was solid, if it was locked in? It's just their word, it's hearsay. But right now suggests that more could come out that wouldn't make it just their word, that wouldn't make it just hearsay. Right now it's their word. They're saying things, but there's no evidence to back it up. But right now seems to me to say that he thinks that situation could change at some point. So why isn't he suing? Because he really doesn't want to go there, because right now it's their word, but if we sue them, more could come out and that wouldn't be good. He then uses the word just again. I'm just telling you what these amateur sleuths are repeating, i.e. this is all I want to focus on, what they're saying and getting my rebuttal in. I really don't want to talk about the possibility of suing them. And in fact, that they ever said that they even said we owned the townhome, which we didn't. Mom says, we've been living in $1 million homes and you were a spoiled, rotten kid because of it. And I'm thinking, we've never been in $1 million home. Listen to Mom's words again and see if you can spot it. We've been living in $1 million homes and you were a spoiled, rotten kid because of it. And I'm thinking, we've never been in $1 million home. She mentions two allegations. We've been living in $1 million homes and Stephan was a spoiled, rotten kid. And she only rebuts one. I've never been in $1 million home. She does not rebut the fact that Stephan was a spoiled kid. So listen, here, he's laying it on thick, too thick. He's got way too many details. And he seems to know a lot of detail about the allegations for something that didn't happen. Who did it? When it happened. But I just want to look at something here that Dad said. Why? Because it's going to become very important. If they had done that, I would have said, go ahead and do whatever you want. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem. Because coming up, when we look further into this call, we are going to have a bombshell that blows what Dad has just said there out the water. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem. That bombshell is on the way. Do you ever feel like you're not being told the full story? It's happening all the time. I think here we're getting more than the full story, but sometimes you're just not getting everything that happens. I'm here to teach you to hear the world with new ears and learn a new skill, because my mission is to get as many people listening closely to what's being said as possible, because it will give you a greater understanding of the motivations, of the truth, of the deception that is happening all around you all the time. If you want to unlock that secret, then do subscribe to this channel or follow. It gives you new episodes as soon as they arrive, packed with ways of looking at the words that people use to get closer to seeing the truth. Delve into the archives as well. There is a treasure trove of cases waiting to be explored. Lots more in the Madeline Soto case. Much more looking at so-called concerned parents of missing children as well. That's in the archives there. And listen, do you know someone who could do with hearing the world a little bit differently? Then if you press the like button, or if you share this, or you comment on this episode, it helps this get out to more people. It's a great skill to share with the world. So if anything you can do to help get this to a wider audience, to get more people understanding that by paying a little bit more attention to the words that we hear, we can understand the world around us in greater detail. Let's go back to this jail call with Stephan and his parents.
But anyway, I'm just telling you the bullshit that goes on out there, which is why I don't pay attention to these YouTube videos. But I'm just telling you, your former roommates have, done a nice job of sabotaging or discrediting your character and what have you. So everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, throwing you under the bus and what have you. But I'm just relating this story of that's been repeated a few times about some video being recorded in the townhome, and that they came to us requesting, and we pleaded with them not to disclose it, and we paid them off, which is just absolute bullshit.
You should be very careful about that because they're seriously opening themselves up to a lawsuit for defamation.
Well, it's not, it takes money to sue somebody, and you have to prove it, and so no one's going to take a case like that pro bono, and it's not worth chasing. And you have to prove damages, and we haven't suffered any damages. But I'm just telling you the bullshit that's floating out there.
So many familiar concepts in that section there, Dad says. But anyway, I'm just telling you the bullshit that goes on out there. So again, and this is about the third time he's done that concept of I'm just telling you what's out there. And again, it's that word just that indicates to me deception could be happening. And what I think is his point is really not telling Stephan anything. His point is getting ahead of these allegations to law enforcement who could be listening to this jail call. I'm just telling you the bullshit that goes on out there, which is why I don't pay attention to these YouTube videos. Sure, sounds like it. He seems to know a lot of detail what is in these YouTube videos. And listen, when someone tells you what's not happening, it very often is what is happening. We all know that person that goes, I don't care. And they really, really care. Well, here, I don't pay attention to these YouTube videos. Well, that's a lie, because he's told us the attention he's paying to these YouTube videos. But I'm just telling you, your former roommates have, done a nice job of sabotaging or discrediting your character and what have you. Sabotaging or discrediting, again, not lies. Really isn't lies. Sabotaging is not doing a good thing, but it's not lying. And discrediting, again, is just saying that someone's character is not creditable. It's not lies. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, throwing you under the bus. I mean, thanks very much for this really reassuring prison call, Dad, and what have you. But I'm just relating this story. Every time he says what he's doing here, he uses the word just beforehand. I don't believe that is all he's doing. There is another reason for him telling these stories and talking about it the way he is. He's minimizing it down with that word just. I'm just relating this story of what's been repeated a few times about a video being recorded in the townhouse. Shared drive earlier on, if you remember, someone was talking about a shared drive and some video, but video being recorded in the townhouse. Again, no one is attached to this video. He's softening the allegations that Stephan was the person who made these videos. Video being recorded in the townhouse, and that they came to us requesting, and we pleaded with them not to disclose it, and we paid them off, which is just absolute bullshit. If you just go into the middle of that part there, video being recorded in the townhouse, that they came to us requesting and we pleaded with them not to disclose it and we paid them off. That middle part there could be an embedded confession. That's when someone says the truth, what really happened. You'll notice that there's only one in there. It's not very, there's two stumbles in there, but it flows a hell of a lot better than some of the other stuff that Dad has said. Is that an embedded confession right in the middle of all the denials? Is he actually saying what happened? Video was being recorded in the townhouse. They came to us requesting, and we pleaded with them not to disclose it, and we paid them off. He then goes, which is absolute bullshit at the end of it. Stephan says, they should be very careful about that because they're seriously opening themselves up to a lawsuit for defamation. Now, as we've seen before, Dad wants to run a mile from legal action here, so he really tries to put the brakes on it here. Well, and he starts the answer with well, always dig in when someone starts an answer with well, it takes money to sue somebody and you have to prove it. And so no one's going to take a case like that pro bono, and it's not worth chasing. So it takes money to sue somebody, so he really doesn't want to do it. We don't have money. And you have to prove it. Look, I don't know which jurisdiction this is in. I'm not a big expert on the libel law in whichever jurisdiction this is in. But actually, it's the person who is defaming normally that has to prove what they say is true. The person being defamed doesn't have to prove anything beyond the damages they've suffered. The person who is doing the defaming or alleged doing the defaming usually has to stand up and go, what I said was true because X, Y, and Z, not the person being defamed. They don't have to prove anything beyond the damages, but you have to prove it. And so no one's going to take on a case like that pro bono, and it's not worth chasing. And you have to prove damages, and we haven't suffered any damages, which I do sort of believe, but it's just like another reason for Stephan, shut up about this defamation lawsuit. We ain't going legal with this. For some reason, he's very, very secure in the fact he's not going to go legal with this. We haven't suffered any damages. I'm just telling you the bullshit that's floating out there. So here, for me, the purpose becomes clearer. That really, I've seen now that I'm just telling you what's out there. The just qualifier. He's not just anything. He has a whole reason for telling this story. Do you remember how it all started off? Anything happening in your world? Any user updates? No. And I believe that because there were no user updates. But here's something I've got to say because it's something that's really worrying me and I need to get ahead of these allegations. I'm just telling you what's being said. No, I'm doing a hell of a lot more than that. Let's go back to the call.
Don't even try to figure out why they did it because we can't figure out why they did it except
Who did it?
the roommate.
Okay. All right, we moved on past that.
Yeah, but the thing is that these YouTube sites give people a chance to talk with complete immunity because they never check them, they never fact check them, they don't care about the facts, they just care about getting people to click on and pay them money for the YouTube site. So.
And supposedly these hosts of these YouTube channels pay these people to provide this information as well. So whatever that's worth.
And some roommate.
Oh yeah, the roommate. Oh, that's really funny. So, reading this interview of the former roommate said that both you and were grossly overweight, and you both had
gastric
bypass. I mean, I'm just telling you, this shit is just what I don't. They didn't disclose her name, okay, but. You know, to say that you had gastric bypass, which you've never had, and that you were grossly overweight, which you never were, again, is the bullshit that's just floating out there on these YouTube channels.
Well, some had gastric bypass, but
Yep.
it's not a big deal these days.
Understand. But they're saying that you had it.
There's some redacted words in there which I think are names, potentially Jennifer Soto. I'm not entirely sure, but there is some redaction in there. So we hear from Mom. Don't even try and figure out why they did it because we can't figure out why they did it except, Dad says, who did it? And Mom says, the roommate, a singular roommate. This has been all these stories going out, lots of people, roommates, people saying all these things, but she's focused in on one roommate and why they did what. She's not explicit about why they did it. Is it why they went and told these stories to YouTubers, or is it why they made a blackmail attempt? She doesn't say, and we can't assume what she means when she says something like why they did it. Who did it? The roommate, Mom says. Okay, we've moved past that. Now Dad is controlling there. He's very controlling, certainly of this part of the conversation. It's maybe something he's like, I've got hold of this, I don't need her talking about it, but we've moved past that. She doesn't take the cue. She says, but the thing is that these YouTube sites give people a chance to talk with complete immunity because they never check them. They never fact check them. They don't care about the facts. They just care about getting people to click on and pay their money for the YouTube site. So she doesn't say these people told lies. She says that the YouTube sites give people a chance to talk with immunity. They never check what's being said. She doesn't say if they had checked, they would have found out these were lies. They never fact checked them. Again, doesn't say that lies were being told, just says that they never fact checked them. They don't care about facts. Again, doesn't say that there was any lies told there. In fact, her whole point there is on facts and not on lies. They just care about people getting to click on and pay their money for the YouTube site. So, again, no saying that there was lying going on there. It's as if they're just setting the entire context for these things were never checked. Therefore, they might not be true. But they don't say these things are not true here. Dad says, and supposedly these hosts of the YouTube channels pay these people to provide the information as well. So for whatever it's worth. Again, Stephan must be sitting there going, why are you telling me how YouTube works? I'm in jail. Tell me something nice. Remind me of home. Tell me about my legal options or something about that. Not how YouTube works. And she said some roommates of, and I think it's Jennifer maybe or whatever, but Mom starts to say that, and then Dad takes control of the situation again and says, "Oh yeah, the roommate, that was really funny." We've gone from all these really worrying allegations where you're talking, you're talking as you are because a 13-year-old girl has been murdered. That was really funny. Interesting. Maybe it's dark humour, but an interesting bit of levity in there. So, reading this interview of the former roommate of Redacted said that both you and Redacted were grossly overweight and you both had, Mom says, gastric bypass. Dad says, what? Mom repeats again, gastric bypass. Gastric bypass. I mean, I'm just telling you, this shit is just... What I don't, they didn't disclose her names. I think Stephan does ask who the name is there. Okay. But you know, they say you had a gastric bypass, which you've never had, and that you were grossly overweight, which you never were. Again, it's the bullshit that's just floating out there on these YouTube channels. Now, this guy is obsessed by YouTube. Interesting that he says that there's a mismatch here because they were reading the interview of the former roommate. Well, you don't read on YouTube, you watch YouTube. And so what is going on here? Well, I think this is a verifiably false claim that's been made that Stephan has not had a gastric bypass and that he was never grossly obese. So what he's doing here is bringing in something that has been said, an allegation that is provably false, as if to say, look, everyone's talking rubbish because this gastric bypass one is not true. Everything else must be not true because this is what we're looking at here. But he says he read it. He read this interview and then he conflates that up to talking about the bullshit that's floating there on these YouTube channels. So he's taken something he read and conflated it and put it up there on YouTube. Stephan seems to take the air out the sails there. Oh yeah, the redacted person had a gastric bypass. It's no big deal these days. Dad says, I understand, but they're saying that you had it. So Stephan is taking the wind out the sails. It's not about the other person, it's about you. You haven't had a gastric bypass surgery. This all is false about that story, so everything else must be false. So here, in this section, for people who don't pay attention to YouTube, they sure as hell put a lot of focus on YouTube, including turning a story about something they read into a story about how bad YouTube is. Let's continue with this jail call between Stephan Sterns and his parents.
You know?
They're saying that she refused to take her bipolar meds, which she was very forgetful, and didn't do a lot. But they were saying that it was not ADHD, but they thought she was autistic. And like going, no, she wasn't.
It was a question mark. You had one doctor saying that she was possibly on the spectrum, another saying, no, it doesn't seem like it, she's just ADHD. And other doctors didn't know. So it was a question mark.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a three-ring circus out there with these YouTube channels, which is why I don't watch them. Your mother doesn't watch them, but every now and then somebody sends us a link to something. And like I said, I sped viewed it and, came away with a little bit of information and a lot of bad information, misinformation, inaccurate information, but it is what it is. And so I'm not going to bother with it.
Okay, stand by for the bombshell that comes in the next part that we're going to hear. Mom. And they're saying that Redacted refused to take her bipolar meds. So I think, once again, this is carrying on from the bit before, which is here's all the rubbish that is being said on these channels. And therefore, if there is rubbish being said there, the specific allegation that really worries me, which is paying off these friends, also could be just as rubbish as everything else. They're saying that she refused to take her bipolar meds, which she was very forgetful, and didn't do a lot. But they're saying that it was not ADHD. They thought she was autistic. I'm like going, no, she wasn't. She wasn't autistic. Stephan is here to take the wind out the sails again. It was a question mark. So Mum, Dad have thrown out all this stuff that they want to back up their point that these allegations about them must not be true because everything else out there is false as well. So when they did the gastric bypass, Stephan goes, oh no, that's true. When they mentioned the autism, Stephan's gone, oh, that could be true. He says, it was a question mark. You had one doctor saying that she was possibly on the spectrum. Another saying, no, it doesn't seem like it. She's just ADHD. And other doctors didn't know. So it was a question mark. Now, in everything we've heard in this call, that's the most Stephan has spoken. It's very fluent. It flows very well. I think it comes from a place of truth. Couple of things on that. Number one is it's about Madeline. And he seems to have a lot of interest in her and a lot of detail about her, which makes me feel very sad because we know why he had that interest. We know potentially that things like autism and ADHD were things that he preyed on around her. So he has a lot of information there. But also, it's the first time that the parents have thrown him something that he can talk about with them. Because the YouTube stuff, he just doesn't really know why they're saying what they're saying. I think he's very discombobulated by what? Why are you saying this? Why is there such detail going on there? I have nothing to say there. And here he finally feels like he has something to contribute to the situation. I don't like what that something is. I don't like why that something exists. But I think it's very interesting that finally he feels like he has something to say, because the rest of the conversation there's really been nothing edifying for him in that conversation. Why? Well, I think as I can see now, they're not really talking to him. They're talking to whoever's going to listen to the tape of this call. Dad says, yeah, but anyway, because once again, their plans have been ruined because they've said, here's some absolute rubbish that people are saying on YouTube. And Stephan's going, no, that's true. But anyway, it's a 3-ring circus out there with these YouTube channels, which is why I don't watch them. Your mother doesn't watch them, but every now and again, somebody sends us a link to something. Now, I've got to tell you, I think this is about 8 minutes in to this section of the call. For people that don't watch YouTube, they sure as hell watch a lot of YouTube and know a lot about what is on YouTube. Every now and again, somebody sends us a link to something. Once again, a focus on the somebody sending them a link, something very, very sensitive to them there. It's a priority. It's not every now and again one comes along, but every now and again somebody sends us a link to somebody. But yeah, listen, 8 minutes in here and they've talked about nothing but YouTube, and then they say they don't watch it. Dad continues. And like I said, I sped viewed it and, came away with a little bit of information, a lot of bad information, misinformation, inaccurate information, but it is what it is. And so not going to bother with it. Well, you are very bothered with it. You've been talking about it for 8 minutes, dude. And also a bit of information, a lot of bad information, misinformation, inaccurate information. It is what it is. Information is not lies. You'll notice that they're very keen to go towards like facts and information when they talk about what is in these YouTube videos that they're so sensitive to. But I think we've heard the word fabricated one time in all of this, and words like facts and information come through much more often when he's talking about these videos. But yeah, 8 minutes worth of talking about YouTube. So here, Stephan has spoken the most that he has here, and his contribution is the clearest one of all. I think there are various reasons for that. Don't like some of them, but I think it points out to the fact that even he cannot understand why mum and dad are talking in this really strange way about this YouTube video. Now prepare for what's coming. Remember, we didn't pay them a penny. This is all rubbish. This is all horseshit, is what the stories have been, how the stories have been described by Stephan's dad, mostly when they're talking. Stand by for what's about to come at the end of this section.
I don't know how they can even find jurors that haven't listened to some of this crap.
Yeah.
They can't.
It's tainted. It's tainted. The whole thing is tainted now.
Yeah, they might have to shop it out to a different venue, but even at that point, I think it's going to be hard to find anyone who hasn't heard about all this.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, and the minute they do hear about it, they're going to go in, and even though they're not supposed to, they're going to go in and check the internet, and they're going to see these things, they're going to believe this stuff because they don't know the difference between truth and non-truth.
Fact and fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, if I go in and say, you people are idiots. You know this never happened, and I can't do that because it won't do you good.
You don't want to engage with it.
So, no, don't want to give them. They're not worthy of the merit of any comments, and they can just enjoy themselves. And then when the truth comes out, then they'll have to do a lot of backtracking. Yeah, right. Okay, sure. But anyway,
I will tell you this, Stephan. You know that we're saved people. You know that we're Christians, and you know that these people came to us many times for help in their living situations, and you know that we helped all of them. I don't understand why these kids think it's so wonderful to jump on this bandwagon and crucify us when we were there for them when they needed us. I don't understand that.
Well, it's because we have fallings out for various reasons, and they can't resist the temptation to kick me while I'm down because they think they can do it with impunity.
Well, bombshell at the end there. Let's look at what led up to that. Mom says, I don't know how they can even find jurors that haven't listened to some of this crap. Dad says, yeah. Stephan says they can't. Mom says, it's tainted. The whole thing is tainted now. Stephan says, yeah, they might have to swap it out to a different venue, but even at that point, I think it's going to be hard to find anyone who hasn't heard about all this. Once more, downplaying of the crimes that he's accused of. Abuse and murder, just downgraded to all this. Dad says, yeah. Mom says, that's true. And the minute they do hear about it, they're going to go in, and even though they're not supposed to, they're going to go in and check the internet, and they're going to see these things. Downplay again of these things. Although, what are these things that she's talking about? Because all really they've spoken about is paying off people. That really is it. I guess there is the allegation about the videos, but seeing these things. But a very interesting negative view on the world in general, the peers that would be the jury. She thinks they're going to do underhand things. They're going to do things they're not supposed to do. That's her automatic reaction to what these people are going to do. Interesting. Why would that be her thought process? It's not my thought process. Is it your thought process that the jury are going to check things? Or is your thought process like mine? That some people might, but if you're told not to and give someone a fair trial, then what you're going to do is give someone a fair trial. You're not going to jeopardize it by going to check things. And if you do know things, you would admit that beforehand, and then you may be excused from the jury. But her first thought, Mom's first thought, is that the jury are going to do things they're not supposed to do. Why would that be her first thought that comes there? They're going to believe this stuff because they don't know the difference between truth and non-truth. Dad says fact and fiction. So they're going to believe this stuff. Again, don't really know what she's referring to there. What is this stuff, Mom? Is it the stuff about paying off people, or is it the fact that people have let out a lot about Stephan's life there? But you'll notice truth and non-truth, just like we've been talking about, their focus really is on facts and information, and truth and non-truth. Non-truth is got truth at the centre of it. If you notice, it's not truth and lies. Dad says fact and fiction. Again, leads with fact and fiction. Yeah, and there's nothing, if I go in and say, you people are idiots, you know this never happened, and I can't do that because it won't do you good. Now, I first listening, I thought she was maybe talking to the jury there, that she was going to walk into the jury room and go, you people are idiots. But I think she's talking about the friends that are making the allegations, and that it's crossed her mind that she should go and talk to the friends. Because if I go in and say, go in where? To this townhouse, to where these people live. You people are idiots. Well, again, this kind of shows Mom's view on the world. You know, this is very distancing language. It's not the blackmail never happened, the payoffs never happened. It's just this and never. We've got that word never again. This never happened, and I can't do that because it won't do you good. Stephan says you don't want to engage with it, so Dad says no. Don't want to give them. They're not worthy of any merit or comments, and they just can't enjoy themselves. And then when the truth comes out, then they'll have to do a lot of backtracking. Yeah, right, okay, sure, but anyway, look how that just drifts away. He starts, I don't want to give them. They're not worthy of the merit of any comments, and they can just enjoy themselves. And when the truth comes out, then they'll have to do a lot of backtracking. Just backtracking, not apologising, just backtracking. Yeah, right, okay, sure, but anyway, so he starts off with all sorts of certainty. I don't want to give them the time of day, although we've noticed he is giving them very much the time of day. They're not worthy of the merit of any comments. He's given them a lot of comments. Then when the truth comes out, they'll have to do a lot of backtracking. Yeah, right, sure, but anyway, it just all fades away there. And then Mom says the most startling thing in all of this, bearing in mind, we haven't given these people a penny. Bearing in mind, we would tell them to go away if they were asking for things. I will tell you this, Stephan, that we've saved people, we're saved people, that we're Christians, and that these people came to us many times for help in their living situations, and that we helped all of them. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you did give these people money? But you never paid them a penny, and you never brought that in before. Yeah, we gave them some money to help them out when they were in a jam, but it wasn't to shut them up. It wasn't because of blackmail. We were being Christians and helping them out. But this sits apart from that. It's just strange a way of mentioning it. I will tell you this, Stephan, she says. And then she tells him what he knows. Well, why are you telling him what he knows? I will tell you this, Stephan. You know that we're saved people. You know that we're Christians. And you know these people came to us many times for help. And you know that we helped all of them. So I will tell you this, but you already know it. I will remind you of this. Might have been wording that made sense there, but I will tell you this. Well, when you tell someone something, that's the first time they've ever heard it. You know that we're safe people. You know that we're Christians, and you know that these people came to us many times for help. These people as well. She knows who these people are. And she's saying, we helped all of them. Was that financially? Was that financially that you gave them money when they needed help? Who needed help? We helped all of them. And why did she say, I will tell you, and then say what you know? I don't understand why these kids think it's so wonderful to jump on this bandwagon and crucify us. So she knows who these kids are. She's directly saying these kids who are jumping on the bandwagon are the ones that we gave help to. Help, I'm presuming, because it's help with the living situation, is money or shelter maybe. But she's saying here, we paid them. Just not for what they're alleging we paid them. It was for help. I don't understand why these kids think it's so wonderful to jump on the bandwagon and crucify us when we were there for them when they needed us. I don't understand that. We were there for them. That's mom and dad. We were there for them. Stephan justifies it. We've had fallings out for various reasons, and they can't resist the temptation to kick me when I'm down because they think they can do it with impunity. So Stephan seems well aware of who we're talking about here as well, because he knows it's the people he's fallen out with, and they can kick him when he's down. But here in that section, there's downplaying of what Sterns did. But we never paid them money. We never paid them a penny. Turns into, oh yeah, we did pay them money. Just not for what they're alleging, by the way. We paid the money because we're Christians and we help people out in their time of need. Always interested in looking at what is missing when someone talks as well. And their emotions were missing. No anger about what was being said. It was an explanation. Like I said, I think it was a made-up explanation. But there was no anger, disgust, or anything really expressed there at all. The emotions were missing. It felt more like a process of telling this story and getting this information across, rather than something that was really riling them. Potentially something that worried them more. So, what do I think about that jail call? The audience, I talked about the audience. It's not Stephan. The intended audience is law enforcement who could be listening to this phone call. He's just trying too hard, Dad especially. He's too detailed with the details of not paying out. He's got too many details about something that didn't happen, in his words. All the details of when it didn't happen, who it didn't happen to, and what didn't happen, rather than just a blanket, it didn't happen. And then finally, they do say they paid out, but they don't join it up. You know, they don't say, yeah, we paid the money when they were down in their luck and this is how they repay us. That's something that I would expect to hear if they had paid the money and now these people were treating them like this. But no, in all the telling of the story, I think they want law enforcement to hear, if we didn't pay them money, then what we get is no mention at all of the money we paid. It sits aside. Oh, by the way, we did pay the money and this is the reason why. So, look, in my opinion, is it possible from listening to these words that they did pay off some blackmail money? Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, it is. What do you think? Let me know in the comments or get in touch on social media and let me know what you think about Stephan Sterns. NeverAtruerWord.com is the website. Now there you will find a whole lot more videos or podcasts where you can dive deeper into cases, including the Madeline Soto case. Lots of interviews that I've looked at in that case there. NeverAtruerWord.com. If you want to become a member of the YouTube channel or subscriber on Spotify, you get exclusive content that no one else gets to see, and you also get access to episodes like this before anyone else. You can do that by becoming a member of the YouTube channel or a subscriber on Spotify. NeverAtruerWord.com. That's got all the details, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.